very good evening. This is No Turning Back with Maliha Anis Bari. Um, and this again is a new episode because here in the studio today I have these two dynamic women with me. एक तो पता नहीं ऐसी आ गई हैं, but she's been on the show, and the other one is again a very amazing woman, I will say. And since this is October, usually called Pinktober, I would like to introduce Amna Ijaz, who happens to be a cancer survivor, and Miss Amna Tahir, Amna Square, as I thought of calling them today. But one of those people जिनमें बहुत ज़्यादा energy है, and we're all wearing pink, by the way, just so you know, so that we're celebrating
Such a
Pinktober.
coincidence.
Yes. So, Assalamu alaikum, Amna. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. आपका क्या हाल है?
बिल्कुल ठीक. Buy one get one free.
Buy one. बिल्कुल सही कहा, buy one get one free. But thank you to you, because through Amna Tahir I have just met Amna Ijaz, who, as I mentioned, happens to be a cancer survivor. And today in our conversation, this is regarding breast cancer and the fact that अभी हम जिस मर्जी सदी में रह रहे हो, I was wondering कि ये 22वीं सदी है या 21वीं सदी है, whatever century we are living in. Cancer itself एक taboo है, and then especially, God forbid, if you contract breast cancer, then you're done. You're done in this society, despite all the knowledge, despite all the great organizations that are working. Shaukat Khanam is working. Then there is, then there are a couple of cancer care is working.
Pink Ribbon
is working. Yeah. Dr. Aftab. But somehow, abhi bhi ye ek taboo hai, and it is something that should not be considered a taboo. With that much said, I would ask Amna and Amna to begin how they met as friends, rather than the sad journey of just being. Look at their हरकतें. हाँ जी, आप अपने वो रैम्बो वाले सीन कर ले सारे के सारे.
People who see us together, they know it's trouble. Actually, we met in college, and back in the day, we were not even like good friends as mashallah we are today. I was in the council, very prim proper, always the teacher's pet, while she was always the rebellious, the person. And so she had a different major, I had a different major, but soon after we left college, we just reconnected, I think over a short meetup, and then since then there is no turning back.
We've literally been inseparable.
Yeah,
mashallah.
Touch wood of all sorts.
Yeah. And I think you do come across individuals जहाँ पे जिनकी आपके साथ instant vibe match होती है.
True.
So Amna and I, we are one in that regard.
In a lot of regards.
I've seen that. I've heard of that one. So you guys have been friends through college.
Yeah.
And it's been how many years?
2006.
So it's been quite some years.
Yeah.
10
Mashallah.
years, decade तो गुजर ही चुका है.
No, more than that.
More than that.
16 years. Do
I
the
think.
math, yaar. I thought you were good at math.
Well, somebody has to be good
I
at
have brain
math.
fog
No,
right now.
yeah, 16 years. I was right.
So Amna, you're also
And to
in
think
the...
we're both in education.
Oh, that's
Working in education as well.
So you're also in the education sector.
I am.
And what are you doing in the education sector?
Currently, I am pursuing my higher education as well.
Okay.
I'm doing my executive MPhil in education, leadership and management from LUMS.
Okay.
And I'm also working as an O-levels art teacher for LGS.
Okay.
Which is honestly something I manifested for a while.
Okay.
That's something that I've always wanted to do.
Okay.
I'm an art enthusiast and an art...
And I think art is one of
person.
those things that kind of helps you bring your emotions out in all aspects.
Art has been my source of breathing, rather. Since grade 1, I knew that I had to study formally, and मुझे artist ही बनना था.
Okay.
किसी तरह का भी, बस मुझे art में कुछ करना था. But then, yes, professionally, I'm in education and art together.
Okay.
And I have my little private art studio as well,
wow.
where
Okay.
I give art therapy sessions to kids and
Adults.
Yeah.
ये हम कब जा रहे हैं हम?
Yeah.
Let's do
I'll
that.
drop you off there.
Right after.
मेरे काम की तो बात ही नहीं.
नहीं, so okay. So coming back, you're a breast cancer survivor,
Yes.
and I have come across people. अभी जब off camera हम बात कर रहे थे, I recently came across somebody at a bookstore, and it was a very hush session that I had with her. It wasn't a session like just passerby user comments type नहीं आता, where I saw her, and she was continuously looking for a book. So she asked the salesperson at the studio at that store के भाई मुझे ना cancer पे किताब चाहिए, and he very innocently went and handed her over a zodiac sign cancer की किताब, and and she looked at her and him, and then she looked at me, and then everything went down. So I asked her, I said, everything okay? Like, are you looking for a particular book or something like that? May I help you? and I could tell that, you know, she's somebody who's going through something, because you can tell by the look of it, by the face, by the overall, you know,
by that timid actions that they're trying to hide from
कि किसी को पता ना
everybody's
चले.
eyes
हाँ,
as well.
हाँ.
That
So
tells.
and then she said कि नहीं, and I said, are you looking for something? And she said, मैं कैंसर पे किताब ढूंढ रही हूँ. And I was like, okay, like why are you so, you know, mumbling about it? Rather, it's a very hush tone. And she said, I can't talk about it because, you know, अगर लोगों को पता चल गया मुझे breast cancer है. And I was like, for the love of God, हम 22वीं सदी 21वीं सदी या for all I care 2022 में रहते हैं. It is not something that is very tabooed. It should be tabooed. Let me tell you something. I once read it, and you guys can Google it, that ब्रेस्ट कैंसर ख़वातीन में होता ही होता है, बट मर्दों में भी होता है. मर्दों में बहुत कम शरह के ऊपर पाया जाता है. हाउएवर ख़वातीन में बिकॉज हार्मोनल इश्यूज एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट, उसकी वजह से शायद ज़्यादा जल्दी ये फैलता है. एंड बाय द वे, once you're born, you have cancer cells in your body that get activated in some bodies, and in some bodies they just keep on sleeping. Am I right?
You're right in that, because I was told that's what I knew all my life. KG, आपकी family history होती है, and then it's triggered and stuff like that. So I'm literally the pioneer in my family. Both sides of the family. I'm the first one who's a cancer survivor, thank
Mashallah.
God. But yeah, so there's literally nothing. But breast cancer के साथ the only thing that comes to mind of our culture and society is that she doesn't have a breast, so she's no more
aesthetically
a woman.
Aesthetically,
Aesthetically, or even emotionally,
morally,
and physically,
yeah,
all
physically,
sorts. Yeah, कि बस अब तो ये her purpose in life
and
is
how
lost.
did you discover? What happened?
Nothing at all. Honestly, nothing at all. I had no pain, no signs and symptoms or anything of that sort. It was one fine day. A little post-COVID, we were going back to school.
And what year are we talking about?
We're talking about September 2020.
So it's
exactly.
one of वो जो साल ही apparently जिसको कहते हैं कि बहुत ही भारी था सारी दुनिया के ऊपर.
So that my Mercury was in retrograde.
Yeah, retrograde. Yes, your Mercury's retrograde was there. Yeah.
So yeah, it was. I came back from school, and I took a shower, and I just discovered like a little tiny rock solid thing under one of my breasts, and that's it. And no physical signs or anything.
No bukhar, no vomiting, nothing.
No pain. No, nothing at all. Not even skin color change.
And how old were you at that time, Amna?
I was 31.
And
exactly.
31 and married and child.
Yes, with a beautiful boy.
Mashallah, mashallah. Okay.
And and that happened. That was one fine day, and the only smart thing that I did was I got it checked within the next 12 hours.
Which
I
is
did
the
not
most,
wait.
beautiful thing,
Crucial.
I think, yes.
And that I really thank all those awareness campaigns back in college. वो सारी actresses आती थी, रीमा आई थी, and I remember the picture with her.
Yeah.
So that was somewhere in my memory.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, this needs to be checked. I can't just leave it and wait on it.
Yeah.
12 hours later, I had my biopsy, and the next 10 days, it came back positive, which was a huge blow in my life and obviously my family's, because cancer doesn't come to one person, it's the entire household.
This is what I've heard, that with cancer, that khuda na khasta, agar anybody in your family, no matter what gender, no matter what age, but if God forbid somebody contracts cancer, it's just not that one person who is affected. It's I think the entire family, पूरे खानदान है जो कि उसकी लपेट में आ जाते हैं, इमोशनली, फिजिकली, सोशली,
financially,
बिकॉज एक ऐसी चीज है जिसका कोई इतना कोई सस्ता इलाज भी नहीं है.
True.
I remember one of my colleagues, Allah Bakhsh Miss Ghazala, beautiful soul. मैंने जब ग्रामर ज्वाइन किया तो मेरी मिस गजाला की बहुत लड़ाइयाँ होती थी. God, and she's like एक दादी फिगर नहीं होती स्कूल की. And then eventually we became friends. And then one fine morning we just found out that she wasn't well. And then being a doctor herself, she was a doctor but she was in the education sector. She just found out कि अगले दिन उनके कुछ 2-4 टेस्ट रन हुए. Her husband's also a doctor. So कुछ 2-4 टेस्ट रन हुए और उन टेस्ट का जो नतीजा निकला, it affected all of us. It affected the entire building where we were working, the entire way of how that building was managed, because you know Miss Ghazala had to lie down, उनके तकिए स्कूल आए, उनका एक गंदा सा एक, आई रिमेंबर एक ग्लास के अंदर वो पीले से रंग का एक वो होता था मिक्सचर, उसको वो मिक्स करती थी, और वो जब वो पीती थी ना तो वो कहती थी लाइक शी वुड, आई रिमेंबर शी वुड आस्क मी टू होल्ड हर हैंड, और एनीबडी हु वाज सिटिंग इन दैट ऑफिस शी वुड से कि यार मेरा जरा हाथ पकड़ लो, बिकॉज वो इतना कड़वा होता है कि शी सेड इट्स नॉट ईजी. एंड आमना, सो यू नो यू हैव आमना विद यू,
and she's a blessing,
and
honestly.
I having been through that you know that journey, because Miss Ghazala ko we've seen very first hand. I think that was the first hand experience that I've ever had in my life with any cancer patient or survivor. I think it was, you know, you need that one person, you just need that.
That
So
support
what
group
happened?
is beyond important through this journey, through this realization that you have to go through this. I mean, it took me a good 2.5 months to just accept the fact that, you know, ye ek masla hai and it has a really long,
Journey,
painful
yeah.
journey, and then I'm not sure if I'm going to come out of that or not, or, you know, that uncertainty. It took me 2.5 months to just go into that first surgery. Ke, Amna, you need to do this for your son, for your parents, for your few good friends. But at that time, I was a social butterfly and living a very fancy, high sort of a life. The toxic people shed themselves off.
Which I think the beauty of
Yeah.
life.
Which is, I'm grateful.
You know, having been through a very strange happening in my own life, which I'm, you know, certainly thankful to Allah Ta'ala, somehow वो जो negative लोग, वो जो toxic लोग या people, you know, वो जो सांप type situation है, वो automatically खुद ही filter हो गए.
Yeah, they shed out, and I'm so glad that they did. I just had like literally 4 friends who were right there at my gate. मैं message नहीं कर रही, call उठा नहीं रही हूँ, तो वो मेरे दरवाजे पे थे, and she was one of them who was there to keep a check. के किधर क्या, what's going on, how are you feeling, what's up.
Yeah, I clearly remember the first time she told me. So we were at a restaurant and she's like, hey, I need to talk to you about something urgent and important. So मुझे जब आमना ने बताया था तो 2 मिनट के लिए मुझे समझ नहीं आई, मैं समझ रही थी कि ये ब्लफ कर रही है, but then I think it was
she
just
thought I'm going to tell her about an affair.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby, that was March, April Fool, but you know, like what the hell's happening in life?
So I think we had a mini moment where we just held hands, we didn't say anything at all, and we just cried because we just it was just very hard for me to see to lose her, because we run the show. I cannot run this show solo, and this is exactly, these were
Shenanigans ऐसे नहीं बनते ना.
And fortunately, we were coordinate, like color clothes coordinated somehow.
उस
दिन we were wearing the same clothes.
हमने matching separates पहने हुए थे, same clothes, same hair,
colors,
everything. So I think it's just, when she told me, obviously it came across as a blow for somebody who's larger than life. Amna has always been that one person who would dye her hair red and she would still be confident about it. Like, she would walk in a house full of people and she'd be like, yeah, this is me.
Yeah, baby, bring it on. You know, bring it on. But, you know, it's not easy. This is what I've seen, because I told you that मैंने first hand, हालांकि ये भी first hand नहीं था. Miss Ghazala was not a first hand case, but then again, it was yet first hand because we were interacting with her, we were working with her on a daily basis. She had these different mood swings जिनको वो बेचारी बहुत कंट्रोल करती थी. She had this entire you know, बैठे बैठे एकदम vomit आ जाना, बैठे बैठे एकदम सर में दर्द हो जाना. So how did, you know, because you were, I assume you were still working.
I was working, yes.
Which I think was the best part.
For a while, when my chemotherapy sessions had to start, after my first surgery, I was told, because before the first surgery, it was, you know, a certain amount of money. I'm going to say it. It was like 18 lakhs for the whole treatment, and I had to have 8 cycles of chemotherapy, and then I was good to go.
This is 18 lakh per...
No,
the whole entire cycle. Okay.
The entire treatment, all through. And then my first surgery, the lumpectomy, came out to be an aggressive kind of a cancer, which was spreading within hours. Oh, God. And so everything doubled overnight. मतलब
18:36 हो गए, पता नहीं चला.
18:45 हो गए. And chemo cycles went from 8 to 16, and then Herceptin ki 17, and then 30 radiate, everything. And I was like, no, this can't be happening. I just, pushed myself up to
इतना ही कबूल कर लिया कि अब कुछ हो रहा है मेरे साथ. हाँ,
ये सब भी होना है. And nobody, even to date, nobody I've interacted with has heard of 16 cycles. The max is 12. So I'm literally one of a kind right now.
Quite a hard nut to crack. उन्होंने कहा एक नहीं.
एक से नहीं इसका दाल गलेगी.
ये दाल नहीं गल रही, जरा इसके ऊपर मजीद प्रेशर डाले. But Amna, you were there in that journey, and as a friend or as a person, as just a human being, friend हो या ना हो, आपको ये journey hit करती है. Because अगर आपके घर में कोई खुदा ना हंसता बीमार हो जाए या आपके सोशल सर्कल में कुछ हो रहा हो, somebody you're close to, of course you automatically get you disturbed, या आपको automatically उस चीज़ का एक वो होता है, असर आता है. How did you take this as a person?
So Maliha, it did consume me initially. The day Amna told me, उस दिन मैं बहुत परेशान थी. उससे मैंने नमाज़ पढ़ी, मैंने बहुत दिल से आमना के लिए दुआ की, क्योंकि I've seen two of my khalas go through the same treatment in a similar way. So I was sort of familiar with the kind of bumpy ride that she had in store for her. और हमने टाइमलाइन अपनी सेट की थी December to December. And I think I would always मैं हमेशा कहती थी कि this too shall pass. So let's just take it one day at a time. और जब हम months count down कर रहे थे कि अच्छा 9 महीने रह गए हैं, 8 महीने रह गए हैं. So मैं ना सिर्फ in spirit, but there were multiple times during that journey जहाँ पे मैं सिर्फ और सिर्फ मैं आमना के लिए, अगर इसका मुझे कभी भी ख्याल आता था, while I was driving, I was at home, I would share the same sentiments with my mother. And so क्योंकि I think हम खुद घर में इतने similar experience से गुजरे थे, तो I was there, I wanted to be there for her, क्योंकि मुझे अंदाज़ा था कि it wouldn't be easy for her, especially
of course.
considering various other circumstances that were going on in her life. So Amna ke liye jab when you make a promise to yourself to be there for somebody, regardless of what happens, you always make an effort to be there for her.
Of course.
And I think abhi hum yehi baat kar rahe the, circling back to the time when she lost her hair and she was rocking this bald look.
Which I think is so cool to rock.
So she was always wearing a scarf. और हमेशा मुझे याद है कि she called me this one night and she said, listen, I feel suffocated and I need to step out of this zone and I trust you to be there. और मुझे I'm very comfortable being around people who are unique and weird in their own way.
Stooges, but yeah.
So I picked her up and then we went to Polo Ground because I wanted her to come out in a very safe and educated space.
Society, yes.
So
and get the most of the sun.
So I'm like, वो अंडा नहीं होती जब like her head is round as an
and
egg.
shiny. Like it was shiny.
Your mother has done a good job on you, bro.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was I saw her break, I've seen her cry, I've seen her best days, but I wanted to be there with her through her lows as well. So yeah, we are here,
We've
bro.
done
So
quite a bit.
but you guys went to Polo Ground. I think you missed that story.
So we went there and I did, out of the corner of my eye, I did see a couple of nudges and whisperings, but I was just there with her. So I knew if somebody would come up, I would ask them to just leave because I was in a very protective mode.
Yeah, I've seen that mode.
Even
I've seen that mode. I'm
Yeah,
like, bring it
I
on,
do get
baby.
protective about my loved
हाथ
ones.
में लगा के देखे तो I'll tell you what is going to happen.
Even today, I cherish that afternoon. It was a beautiful spring afternoon with a polo match, and that feeling of breeze
Hitting
and
your head.
head without hair.
Hair.
I mean, you don't know how that feels.
Yeah,
I know that.
Yeah, I'm sure you only know
So,
that.
I still cherish that. I got to do it, and I was brave enough to
Stand and face it. Yes.
face it.
Face
and,
the music.
And teach my son alongside that it's okay. It's perfectly normal. And he was with us.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
he
it
was all over the place.
I remember Amna and I spoke that evening, and I think if I'm not wrong, you said that one of my friends, she's just been diagnosed with cancer, or I think she, I'm planning to take her to
it's
to
around about the
Shaukat
same
Khana.
time that we first met.
Yes, more or
Yeah.
less it's the same time. But as a parent, and if I'm not wrong, you're a single parent.
I'm a single mother, yeah.
How does that take? Because of course with children, it's a very बड़े नहीं बर्दाश्त कर सकते, तो छोटो है तो it's a completely different ball game. How did your son take it?
He didn't understand what cancer really is, because for him, because he was only 6.5 at that time, so he was like, where's the wound and blood kidhar hai,
I want you to put the mic thoda sa आगे
right.
बोलो, हाँ.
So these were his questions. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna overwhelm him with all this information,
Yes.
because I just told him every time I got a IV, वो banded बस मैं लगी रहने देती थी कि Ibrahim, you know what, this is where I'm hurt, and that's about it. Then the hair falling and shaving the head, I asked him to do it, and he was like, no, you shouldn't shave your head.
So 1 minute. So you asked your son, who was probably 6 at that time.
Yes, because
shave
I
your
wanted.
Which is, of course, a choice again.
Although my parents and my bhabhi and my brothers are like, nahi, it's too young.
True traumatic, yeah.
This is his path. This is his journey.
Yes.
And I want him to know, I don't know if I'm going to live, right? So I want him to physically be there, na ke wo baad mein kabhi regret kare if I'm not there, ki yaar, you took me away from my mother.
Yeah. You guys took
so
me
he
away.
was like, okay, no, we're gonna उसने अपने gaming characters कोई निकाले कि side shave करते हैं और ऐसे रखते हैं, and then I pretended, मैंने कहा वो accidentally सारे ही हो गए हैं, अब क्या हो सकता है. So he was like, oh, okay, we're gonna wait, and then we're gonna rock that other character
second
look.
Yeah.
So he was fine. He was very confident about it, and then it took him a good 6 months to realize that this is a disease. His school invited me for a talk, and that's when he understood.
And how's it like, how's like breaking that news to a 6-year-old, and then to children, and then to parents? Because of course, as I look at you, एक blogger है rebellious brownie. मुझे पता नहीं क्यों वो rebellious brownie वाली feeling आती है, ठीक है? I've never met you, but yes, you just remind me at this very moment, मुझे वो rebellious एक feeling आती है.
Yeah.
And it's not something, I would say, it's not a shame.
No,
it's
no,
not
it
a shame to
isn't.
be a rebel either. Cancer survivor होना तो बिल्कुल shame नहीं है. Just the other day, I was talking to one of my friends, and she said कि the worst part of our society is कि A, हमारे में empathy खत्म हो चुकी है. B, हम अपने ऊपर जो हमारे ऊपर जुल्म हुआ है ना, हम उसी के नीचे दबे जाते हैं.
Victimize
हम
कर देते हैं अपने आप
victimize
को.
कर देते हैं.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
totally agree.
मलिया बहुत strange
ओ
बात
हाँ,
ये हुई
अभी तो
थी
इधर बैठी
क्योंकि-
थी, sorry.
मैं जा रही हूँ. So बड़ी strange बात ये हुई थी कि people are generally very curious. So हमारे दरमियान बहुत mutuals हैं. कोई 100, 500, 600 बंदा तो हम दोनों को जानते हैं. So when they did not have access to her,
Since I vanished completely,
they
I
were
couldn't.
reaching out to me.
Which is fine. Which
Yeah,
is
I
fine
quit-
because you need your time.
Yeah, I quit all sorts of social medias, and only these
3-4
few
people, yeah.
knew
Yeah.
what, where,
And so they would
what
reach
was
out to
happening.
me, not out of care and love, but out of curiosity.
बस
मत तो
एक-
नहीं
हाँ.
गई आमना.
And even
फिर बच गई.
Damn it.
उन्हें हैसियत नहीं आती,
even
वहाँ
I was
जाने
at an event recently, so somebody, she brought her up, and then I instantly went in my overprotective mode, and I'm like, what about her? अब वो कहती है कि हाँ मैंने ये सुना उसके बारे में. मैंने कहा
Well,
हाँ,
I'll
she's
tell
doing
you
fine,
something.
so
I'll tell you something. Recently, मुझे जब I was discussing it with somebody that I'm planning to do a Pinktober podcast. तो वहाँ पर मुझे ये पता चला कि God forbid you really like recontracted, relapse कर गई ये disease. And I was like, okay. And I said, मेरी तो इतनी बातचीत नहीं होती. उन्होंने कहा हमारी भी नहीं होती, बस हमने सुन लिया. Like, okay, thank you.
yeah, people are just generally curious, and मुझे
And curious in a negative
हाँ, या तो
negative
आप पॉजिटिव वे में
way.
क्यूरियस होना कि हाँ यार मेरी दुआएं उसके साथ हैं, या
Yeah.
आपको खुदा ने से फाइनेंशियली को सपोर्ट है, चलो फाइनेंशियल मॉरली तो हम सपोर्ट कर ही सकते हैं. So but having said all of this, the journey is painful.
It's very painful. It's beyond painful. It's words cannot comprehend that pain, because it's physically, it's not just it's bone pain, it's nerve pain and it's muscle pain all together. मतलब मुझे इस सब के बाद पता चला अच्छा हम तो पैनाडोल खाते थे. Where did that go? No,
और पैनाडोल is not in the story
Panadol
anyway.
तो long gone. So it's all sorts of pains and I can tell कि मुझे nerve pain कब हो रही है. And then the worst was conquering my own fears. I could not see another person getting an injection, let alone
अपने आप को इतने
every day over 8 needles, pins and needles. And then when the finances got to 45 और वो जब लेटर आया I'm like अबू please मुझे ये पैसे दे दे, I'll go on a world tour.
मुझे याद है एक दफा हम
I don't want those bloody pins and needles.
NCA thesis display पे जा रहे थे तो आमना ने ना अपनी वो एक she has it's a row of compartmentalized जहाँ पे उसकी medicines होती हैं
and medicine box जो होता है,
medicine box होता है वो बुढ़ी आंटियों की तरह she would open मुंह में डाल रही अब दोपहर का टाइम हुआ है वो दोबारा डाल रही मैं कह रही क्या सीन है.
Yeah, but you know like ये कितना ज़रूरी है, कितना ज़रूरी है. And a lot of times एक मुझे ये फील होता है कि हमारी जो आजकल की जनरेशन है उसमें और हमारी वालदाओं की या हमारी जो दादी नानी उनकी जनरेशन में जो न्यूट्रिशन का फैक्टर है या जो न्यूट्रिशन का लेवल है वो बहुत चेंज हो गया है, बहुत चेंज हो गया है. वी आर ओनली ईटिंग केमिकल फूड, ठीक है, डब्बे वाला खाना हम जितने वो हो गए. इवन अगर हम अपनी सब्जी फल फ्रूट देखें या जो चिकन वो भी मैनिपुलेटेड है, मतलब पेस्टिसाइड्स का करके स्प्रे हो रहा है और फिर हम उसी को वॉश करते हैं और हम वो खा जाते हैं. ऑफ कोर्स वो उसके अंदर इतनी देर में सीप इन कर जाता है, सारा कुछ कर जाता है. बट यू बीइंग देयर I'm sure there was a certain diet plan that the doctors must have told you. या ये था कि बस सब कुछ खा जाओ. Because I'll tell you something funny. मेरे जब वालिद साहब को शुगर डायग्नोज हुई ना तो वो हज पे से वापस आए थे एंड द फर्स्ट टाइम उनको हज पर शुगर का वो हुआ एंड नोबडी न्यू कि क्या हो रहा है until there was a doctor, अल्लाह रहम करे उनके ऊपर. उन्होंने मेरे वालिद साहब को कहा कि शुगर लो है तो उन्होंने कहा वो क्या होती है, लाइक व्हाट ऑन अर्थ इज शुगर, ठीक है, बैक इन द डेज. सो अब्बू जब लाहौर आए उन्होंने बताया कि जी डॉक्टर साहब के पास गए, अब्बू मुबशर अंकल मेरे अब्बू के दोस्त हैं उनके साथ, उन्होंने कहा जी आपको डायबिटीज़ है. तो अब्बू ने कहा वो क्या होती है, डॉक्टर ने कहा तो शुगर है. उन्होंने कहा जी शुगर को आसान लफ्ज़ों में डायबिटीज़ को शुगर कहा जाता है. और उन्होंने बताया कि आप ये नहीं खा सकते, ये नहीं खा सकते, ये नहीं खा सकते. एंड द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट माई फादर डिड राइट आफ्टर लीविंग द क्लिनिक वॉज, अब्बू ने मुबशर अंकल से कहा मुबशर ज़रा वो हाजी नहारी पे तो चला नहारी खानी में तो डॉक्टर ने सब बंद कर दिया. सो यू प्लीड गिल्टी.
Okay, there's a good chunk of time when you cannot drink or eat anything literally because chemotherapy is accumulative. So as your sessions progress, so the pain and the bleeding of all sorts and the blisters all through your system just keep getting worse. So एक point वो आता है जब पानी भी painful. हाँ, it is painful. After that, because all this while I'm someone who loves research. Yeah. But I need my own information regardless of what anyone is telling me. Yeah. So इस सब में I had researched cancer की हर नस्ल को कर चुकी थी कि यार. And then I got to know that it's hormonal, you know, and hormones have to do with your stress levels, with your food intake, with your physical workout, with your lifestyle, with your thoughts, emotion, and it's endless, right? And what triggered mine, I believe, is stress. I was under stress for a very long time and I had stopped communicating. So now the importance of communication is like number one for me. You need to communicate either to a therapist, a friend or whatever, but the right person, right? So
मुझे listening ear का होना बहुत
ज़रूरी है. That support group needs, you need a support group. जो कहते हैं ना मैं solo जी मैं अकेला, BS, no, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. So हाँ अकेले आप नहीं कर सकते. And then so as soon as I could eat, even today, I wake up and if I want to eat something, chocolate chip ice cream for breakfast with a Mars की bar, तो मैं वही खाती हूँ. I've survived the worst. So food is a pleasure and joy of this world.
आमना मुझे हाजी नहारी खाना.
हाँ.
मुझे पता Nando's जाना है इसके बाद.
आपको मैं Nando's, we've had enough of Nando's.
So yeah, I eat and people tell me कि ओ तुम तो junk खा रही हो, तुम्हें ये हो जाए. मैंने कहा मुझे
जिंदगी मिलेगी ना दोबारा,
जिंदगी मिलेगी तो ठीक है देख लेंगे, नहीं मिलती तो आई एम गुड मैन, आई एम गोना ईट, ड्रिंक, स्मोक, व्हाट द हेल आई लाइक.
बिकॉज देखो
Yeah.
मैं बताती हूँ, हम छोटी फॉर इंस्टेंस मेरी अभी आंखों की सर्जरी हुई है, आई गॉट एंड वाजंट अ सर्जरी, मैंने अपना जब लेज़र कराया, एंड ऑल्सो बिकॉज स्ट्रेस, जिस तरह हम बात करते हैं, स्ट्रेस आपकी बॉडी में बड़ी सारी चीज़ों को हिट करती है, ट्रिगर करती है, ठीक है. मेरी वट एवर द रीजन्स ऑफ माई स्ट्रेस वर, वो इवेंचुअली मेरी आंखों के ऊपर उसका असर आया, और इस हद तक कि मैंने एक दिन अम्मी से कहा, अम्मी मुझे ना बड़ा ब्लरी नज़र आ रहा है, तो मैंने निकाल के क्यूरीन के ड्रॉप्स अपनी आंखों में डाल के, एंड आई वाज लाइक ओके आई एम ऑल सेट मैन. अच्छा, फिर थोड़ी देर बाद हुआ, फिर मैंने कहा चलो ऐनक का शीशा बदलवा लेती हूँ, लेंसेज पहनूँ तो आंखों से पानी आना शुरू हो जाए, और मुझे लिटरली एट सम पॉइंट मुझे अपने लेंस के साथ लगता था मेरी आंख में ना एक शीशे का पीस है जो कि चुभ रहा है, एंड राइट समवेयर फ्रॉम हियर. सो मैं डॉक्टर के पास गई, एंड अल्लाह भला करे उन डॉक्टर साहब का, उन्होंने मुझे कहा बेटे अंधे होने का इंतज़ार कर रही थी. And I was like, excuse me, like, hello, look at these beautiful eyes. Like, आपको लगता है ये अंधे होने का इंतज़ार. And he said, you have lost almost 90% of your,
vision.
not vision. आपके जो एक्सेस हैं वो बिल्कुल ही पुट्ठे हो चुके हैं. And I was like, excuse me, what happened? And he said कि I don't know, you should be knowing. And then he knew what was happening in my life.
जिंदगी के एक्सेस और आंखों के एक्सेस पॉजिटिवली कोरिलेटेड थे.
I positively correlated है, ठीक है. And I was
The
like,
only positive thing in my life, you know.
And I was like, what? And he said कि आपने रो के अपना ये हाल किया है कि आपकी आंखें जो हैं वो, उनके टीयर डक्ट्स जो हैं वो बेचारे विंगे हो गए, like literally विंगे, उनको नहीं पता कि उन्होंने करना क्या अपना. So I was like, okay, now, and he said कि we're going to perform a surgery on your eyes, and I was like, पता नहीं क्या करने लगा. That surgery too was like एक वो अलग ही सिनेरियो था.
हाँ, सर्जरी की अपनी एक
होती है, हालांकि वो इस तरह की नहीं थी, खुदा ने से को कट एंड पेस्ट वाली सिचुएशन, बट देन अगेन वो लेजर एक करवाना है, सारा कुछ उसकी एक अपनी तकलीफ. एंड वो जो 4 दिन थे ना जिसमें उन्होंने वो मेरी आंखों के ऊपर ग्रीन कलर के ना फ्रॉग आइज टाइप पैचेस लगाए हुए थे, एंड आई एम लाइक उसमें से नजर आ रहे छोटे छोटे होल, एंड आई एम लाइक ये आया. बट दैट समझ आई कि यार ये कितनी बड़ी आपको स्ट्रेस जो है वो आपको कहाँ कहाँ ट्रिगर करती है. आई रिमेंबर गोइंग टू माई पेरेंट्स, जब मैं डॉक्टर साहब को चेक करा कर आई, और मैंने कहा मुझे ना कोई 2-1 लाख रुपए चाहिए. एंड अम्मी इज़ लाइक अच्छा क्या हुआ है. मैंने कहा वो डॉक्टर साहब ने कहा है कि तुम ना अंधी होने लगी. अच्छा, पहले अम्मी ने रोना शुरू कर दिया. मैंने कहा अभी उन्होंने कहा है कि मैं अंधी होने लगी, हुई नहीं हो भाई, हौसला रखें, मैं अभी जिंदा सलामत हूँ आपके सामने, खुदा ना खास्ता हो सकती हूँ, बिकॉज मेरी एक सर्जरी है ना. And the next, I think after, within like next 48 hours, मेरी वो surgery, I told Amna कि Amna, this is what is happening, and मेरी surgery है, सारा कुछ है. But how आपके जो personal आपकी feelings हैं, वो आपके emotions और आपकी stress levels, आपकी mental health, physical health को किस तरह affect करते हैं?
200%. I would not take names, but I've been in a painful infidel relationship, which I had been quiet about for I don't know how many years.
I plead guilty.
And that being quiet got to me.
I plead guilty.
That just got to me.
आपको एक breast cancer की शक्ल में आया, मुझे आँखों के उस पर आया. And that's the worst, because I think हमारी society जो है वो किसी तरह ये I think हमारी जो कंडीशनिंग हुई भी होती है ना, वो इस तरह होती है कि जो कुछ है बस ऐसी है.
हाँ, accepted. ये औरत का सबर है.
It's not.
It's
Let
not.
me tell you. You can tell it well, Amna. It's not.
ये सबर
Because
नहीं है.
देखिए ये सबर नहीं है. अल्लाह ताला ने ये तक कहा हुआ है कि आप अपने आप को जो तकलीफ दे रहे हैं ना, वो उसका आपको कोई अजर
नहीं मिल रहा. Exactly.
अपने आप को तकलीफ देना भी एक गुनाह है, बिकॉज ये जो जिस्म है, जो रूह है, वो आपकी अल्लाह ताला की एक अमानत है.
हाँ, and you're answerable for all of this. No one else is कि हाय उसने मेरे साथ कर दिया, मैं नाराज हो. नहीं भाई, this is your job and this is your responsibility. But sadly, again, हमारे माशरे में, हमारे घरों में, पढ़े लिखे घरों में भी ये सब कुछ नहीं, ना बात की जाती है, ना सिखाया जाता है. And you're just told to just accept.
Amna knows who I might be talking about, and I remember that person telling me कि आपने सोच लेना था थोड़ा सा, whatever the issue was, आपने थोड़ा, and this is after it's done and dusted, and I'm like, dude,
I think in my circle you both are somebody that I know जो कि जब एक दफा ज़हन बना लिया ना, दिल बना लिया, then there is no going back.
I was the same.
Hence, yeah. So I know you, and I know also Amna in like a personal capacity, and this is what I really like about both of you.
That's exactly how it was. I was in the middle of my treatment when I filed for divorce, and my father still was like, "नहीं बेटा, सोच लो, देख लो." मैंने कहा वो मैं what do you want
Like
me to
मजीद क्या
look-
रह गया देखने
हाँ,
वाली
what do you want me
situation?
to look at? Yeah, so no.
And how did your son, because of course already you were going through a
Lot
trauma
of
of life.
He's still in therapy. He goes to his psychologist every month. But he is a kid that I'm very proud of
Mashallah.
because he got to run the course of his journey very early on in life. He missed out on his childhood, that's what I believe. But the sort of beautiful man I want to see him become,
Inshallah.
he is becoming
Inshallah.
that.
Yeah.
So I pray that जितना फ्री स्पिरिटेड मैं उसको रेज कर सक रही हूँ, I wish and hope that he gets to do that with his kids.
Acha, I'm not with you know, with since it's Pinktober and with this reason we're here. Who was your doctor? Because I've come across people, of course आपके सर्कल में कोई ना कोई दूर दराज आपको कोई बंदा नजर आता है, को मिलता है जिसका आपको पता चलता है कि यार you know there God forbid you know she's facing cancer and it's a breast cancer. Normally ख़वातीन में breast cancer ही पाया जाता है, और अभी तो हम किसी को फ़ोन भी करें तो वो आता है कि you know छाती का एक्सरे
all
का
October it's
स्कैन
gonna be.
which I think is a great movement by the way, because इसकी awareness जितनी हम कर सकते हैं उतनी
ज़रूरी
कम है,
है,
मुझे लगता है
ज़रूरी
उतनी
है,
भी
yeah,
कम है, ठीक है
yeah.
ना. So who was your doctor? A, and you know you've told me about the reaction and all that. How is the treatment when it, you know, when you start with the treatment? It's not a one day process. It's a process that can take years. It's a process that can probably take some months, get rid of, you know. But दूसरा, where people who have this issue, you know, हमारे यहाँ तो मेमोग्राम कराने के ऊपर I remember that once I was again at the Polo Club, and Polo Club is, I will definitely say that Lahore Polo Club definitely endorses breast cancer.
It does.
Like
Openly.
you know,
Yeah.
very openly,
Yeah,
which is
openly.
so
Yeah.
great. And I remember कि वहाँ पर एक दद अस्पताल की वो खड़ी हुई थी, मेमोग्राम वैन खड़ी हुई थी, and I am somebody, you know, it was like अच्छा चलो जाके मेमोग्राम करा लेते हैं, like इसमें कुछ शर्म वाली बात तो नहीं है. And I remember that I went to the van, and this is after 2010 की बात, post 2010 की बात है, I remember
And
clearly.
they told you you're not 40, so you can
हाँ,
step
and I was
Yeah,
like,
down.
go for an ultrasound.
Same.
Yeah, but I was like, dude, I know the reason I'm there. You know, I know
yeah.
there's a particular reason I'm there. मुझे कोई
Yeah.
शौक तो नहीं है कि मेमोग्राम कराने
हाँ.
का. It's so how is that when it comes to hospitals, when it comes to meeting patients, you know, feel alike, look alike लोग हो जाते हैं, आपको रिश्तेदार हैं, लोग आते हैं. How does that happen? You know, from a doctor's journey, like you know, from a patient to a doctor relationship, कितना ज़रूरी होता है?
It is 200% important. My doctor was Dr. Amna Khan
Oh, yeah,
from Shaukat Hanum,
Shaukat Hanum.
and my medical oncologist is Dr. Neelam,
yeah.
which I adore these two women beyond words, because इन्होंने जितने, I used to go into my appointment with a little notepad listed with questions. और
Which
वो
is
मेरे-
how it should be, I think. किसी आप डॉक्टर के
हाँ.
पास जा रहे हैं, आपको पता होना चाहिए कि आपने
So
कितने
they
सवाल
were
पूछने हैं.
there. They answered each and every question every single time without hesitating and without putting up a face कि oh ho हम
फिर आ
थक
गई,
गए
फिर
हैं, फिर
सवाल
आ
पूछ
गए.
रही, हाँ.
No, with a smile and with everything. Dr. Neelam went on to say कि you know there's going to be a point. You need to accept the fact that this hospital is your second home. If you do not feel at home, you cannot go through the. And I was like, ये पागल हो गई हैं. Why would I, you know,
Think of a
अस्पताल
hospital,
को
yeah, अस्पताल
कौन
कौन
घर
कर
गएगा?
सकता है, हाँ.
And she was right. मतलब there was a time when I was so much in pain कि मुझे होता था यार मैं हॉस्पिटल में बेहतर हूँ, मुझे उधर रहने दो, उधर से बतखें नजर आ रही हैं, उधर से मोर नजर आ रहे हैं. And you know everyone is
It's okay.
alert.
Yeah.
So I felt more safe in the hospital with my condition because घर वालों को तो कुछ नहीं समझ आता था कि अच्छा अब इसको क्या हो गया.
हाँ, अब दर्द हो रही है तो कहाँ हो
दर्द
रही है,
क्या हो
कह
रही है,
रहे
हम
हैं,
क्या
दर्द हो
करें,
रही
हम
है,
दबा
vein
दें.
कौन सी,
नहीं,
हाँ.
आप दबा नहीं सकते, वो दबाने से नहीं ठीक होती भाई. So yeah, my doctors, I'm grateful that I got to
शुक्र अल्लाह
that I got them as my caregivers.
और आई थिंक आमना की वजह से इवन मुझ
Mike,
में भी
Mike,
पहली दफ़ा अवेयरनेस आई. आई नेवर गॉन फॉर एन अल्ट्रासाउंड. सो दैट पर्टिकुलर ईयर आई वेंट फॉर एन अल्ट्रासाउंड माई सेल्फ. आई वॉन्टेड टू गो फॉर मैमोग्राफी, मगर उसमें मिला इट्स व्हेन यू हिट 40 एंड अबव, क्योंकि उसमें रेस होती हैं. सो इंस्टेड दे डू एन अल्ट्रासाउंड एंड दे फाइंड आउट कि क्या मसला है. बट ऑल थैंक्स टू हर एंड द डॉक्टर आस्क्ड मी व्हाई आर यू हियर, लाइक हैज़ एनीथिंग हैपेंड. और मैंने कहा आई हैव जस्ट बिन informed. I need to do this more often than never.
Yeah. And I think that's a great initiative as a woman, जो आप अपने ऊपर एहसान कर सकते हैं. बिकॉज अगर आप अपनी सेहत का ध्यान नहीं रख सकते ना, तो आप सारे जो घर वालों का, आपने खाना बनाना है, कपड़े इस्त्री करने हैं, बर्तन धोने हैं, बच्चों को पढ़ाना है, मियाँ की खिदमत करनी है, माँ बाप की खिदमत करनी है, व्हाटएवर, यू कांट डू दैट. बिकॉज अगर आप खुद बेहतर होंगे तो आप किसी और का वो कुछ कर सकते हैं.
You can't do anything when you're under treatment, and there does come a point when hospital की शक्ल देख के I used to nauseate so bad कि the medicines didn't help me, and I was like, you know, you have to go there every single day or every other day, and you're spending सुबह 10 बजे से रात 8 बजे तक कोई टेस्ट हो रहा है, कुछ हो रहा है बस.
And then again, जो मर्जी हो, it's a hospital.
It's a hospital, and that smell of the
chlorine type वो जो एक आती है, phenyl कम,
that gets to you कि यार बस यार, you know, you it gets to you, but that's you just have to keep going.
But you know, for somebody like you who is mashallah, touch wood, is a cancer survivor, what is that you would want to tell women out there?
Please support each other. Number one, women get women. I don't know why, in all capacities. Let it be work, home. A man never harms a woman as much as a woman harms a woman.
इसलिए कहते हैं ना, दोज़ख में ज़्यादा ख़वातीन होंगी.
हाँ, और ये fact है. I don't know why. Like, I'm not in those,
I won't
man.
be there.
I'm not gonna be there, man. Allah me, I'm
You
going to
too,
Jannat,
yeah.
man. You know, Allah me, we all three are going to Jannat. We've done our fair share of goodness in life.
Yeah.
But you know, family, जिस तरह मैं कह रही थी कि family, friends का support system होना, सारा कुछ, और ख़वातीन के लिए ये एक जो हम अब तो रिंगटोन भी मैं कह रही हूँ ना, जब हम किसी को कॉल करते हैं तो वो कॉलर ट्यून आ रही होती है कि छाती का मुआयना ज़रूर कराएं. इसमें कोई शर्म की बात नहीं है.
नहीं है.
I was working at some place, and there was this woman who I found out has breast cancer. She was a breast cancer survivor again, and the worst of everything was that her husband, mashallah, was very supportive. Her in-laws were, you know,
somewhat,
okay, yeah, ठीक है. बच्चे were going through a havoc of, you know, life की क्या हो गया माँ को. She started losing hair. She was always in a scarf and everything, of course. And where she was working, उस जगह की, उस area की requirement थी, उस working place की requirement नहीं थी, उस area की requirement थी. She could not flaunt her bald head, right? और बड़ा जज्बा और I think बहुत हिम्मत चाहिए होती है इस तरह की चीज़ को सबसे पहले configure ही करना अपने अंदर की क्या. And I remember she mentioned कि I have a surgery to go to, and I said okay, sure, you know, मैं तो आप मेरी बॉस हैं, आप मुझे क्यों बता रही हैं? And she said कि Malia, the reason I'm telling you this is because I want you to know कि her brother-in-law was a surgeon who was performing the surgery, and she got the backlash of her life from the society, which being her in-laws, के
the brother-in-law is
बेशरम औरत. And I was like, यार बेशरम. And अच्छा, इत्तफाक की बात कि वो उस बंदे की स्पेशलाइजेशन भी ब्रेस्ट कैंसर पेशेंट्स के साथ हो चुकी थी. नॉट स्पेशलाइजेशन बट प्रॉबेबली, यू नो, आपका एक रैपो बिल्ड हो जाता है, यू नो. एंड इमेजिन उस बंदी की सर्जरी 3 महीने सिर्फ इस वजह से डिले हुई बिकॉज द एरिया दैट शी इज़ इन, शी कुड नॉट ट्रैवल टू लाहौर बैक एंड फोर्थ, सो शी हैड टू वर्क इन दैट पर्टिकुलर विसिनिटी वेयर शी वॉज, and he was the only surgeon who could do a breast cancer ki surgery, like a breast surgeon.
You have to save the breast now. That's the, and we can't even, abhi, we're saying the word breast on the mic. I'm sure a lot of people can't even have that conversation behind closed doors. मैं आपको बता रहा ना, मैंने एक बुक स्टोर के अंदर एक खातून मुझे कह रही है कि you know, I can't, भाई क्यों नहीं आप बता सकते? It's not normal, but yes, it is something that just happens. It can, God forbid, happen to me, God forbid, happen to anybody. मैं आपको ये बात बता रही हूँ, you guys can definitely research. मर्दों में भी ब्रेस्ट कैंसर की शरह है. It's just a very little or a small percentage, but होती है. क्या पता हम कितने लोगों को इर्द गिर्द अपने जानते हो जिन्होंने खुदा ना से किसी को उन्होंने हमें शायद कभी बताया ही ना हो. बिकॉज कैंसर एक टैबू है, तो ब्रेस्ट कैंसर तो बिल्कुल ही एक वखरा वो है ना, टैबू है. एंड दिस थिंग अबाउट 40, I now disagree because मैं डॉक्टर आमना खान से जाके लड़ी थी बकायदा कि you know, I did the same thing. One of my son's schools, उसके बाहर वो मेमोग्राम की वैन थी, and I was 29 at the time, and I went up बड़ी हीरो बन के, मैंने कहा जी मैं तो, उन्होंने कहा नहीं, this is after 40. I was like, oh okay. I came back down, and then at 31, boom. What happened? Why did I turn 40 all in 2 years? So I fought with her. मैंने कहा ये क्या है? She's like, no, this is the wrong campaigning because it's as early as a girl's monthly cycle starts. And she even went ahead to show me the fact that she had her youngest patient at 17, which is like
अभी तो आपका आईडी कार्ड नहीं बना,
Yeah.
आप तो
हाँ,
अभी
मतलब
आप
आपको
एक
होश ही नहीं
citizen
आती।
के, इस मुल्क के प्रॉपर सिटीजन ही नहीं कंसीडर किए
तो
जाते
उसने
बगैर
कहा कि
आईडी
नहीं,
कार्ड
this is as soon as you hit puberty, and it's for both men, women, girls and boys, both. But girls में chances because of those hormonal imbalances, it's higher always, and everywhere, like subcontinent, Europe, Asia, wherever you go.
I'm loving your curls, like you just
Thank you.
I'm looking at them continuously.
I mean, you haven't seen her hair. It's beautiful.
हाँ.
Like, it's so curly.
And I flip them. I'm so glad that I'm able to flip them.
Mashallah. But yeah, I remember that when Allah Bakshe Miss Ghazala was she unka relapse kar gaya tha, and that's how
Right.
she lost it. She lost the battle, but she was one woman. Allah करवट करवट जन्नत दे. She was so headstrong. I still remember कि जब वो हमें कॉलेज ऑफिस में बुलाती थी ना, तो उनका जो PA था उमेर, वो कहता था, और हम कहते थे अल्लाह क्या हो गया, और हम कहते थे भाई
बुलावा आ गया
ठीक है. But I had a very hate and love relationship. Eventually Allah का शुक्र turned out to be love and this and that. But I remember कि वो when she started growing hair back, it was like वो छोटे curl, and she was like a if you looked at her, वो एक गोरी लगती थी आपको, गोरी in this sense, you would think of her कि कोई ब्रिटिशर है, and she was somewhat britisher like गोरी. Okay, we're not talking racism over here, but because she had those British genes in her family, और वो with those colored eyes and all of that. और जब वो पहली बार स्कूल आई ना, without the scarf, when her hair started, I was like, dude, what the hell's happening on the earth? Like, you look like a bloody sex bomb, mashallah. Because she looked nice. She looked so nice, and she would always be like,
I get these compliments on the signals from our transgender community. And they're like, oh, Mary Angelina again. And I'm like,
yeah, Angelina Jolie is right
do the
there.
roll wave.
Yeah, do the roll. But imagine, with having said all of that, I don't know कितने मिनट की recording हो गई है, but 50 60
Actually, 50.
50 50 yeah, 10 मिनट और कर लेंगे हम. उसके बाद we're just going to wrap it up in the last 10 minutes. आपने जो अपनी जर्नी है, you've had friends, you've had family, you've had that up and down of life, नहीं समझ आया क्या हुआ, things got called off, whatever, you've got a beautiful son, everything kind of, I would say, is in place, mashallah.
More or less, yeah.
And I will, for anybody, because आपको नहीं पता कब किसको हो जाए, right? और जो हमारी eating habits है ना, मैं तो रोज सुबह अल्लाह से कहती हूँ, अल्लाह जी माफ़ ही कर दे, like literally स्कूल लंच लेके जाती हूँ, वो भी भूल जाती हूँ, like बंदा ब्रेकफास्ट स्कूल लेके जाता है, वो भी भूल जाए, ब्रेकफास्ट स्कूल में ही भूल गए. So what is that 1 2 3 maybe as many advices would you want to give to anybody out there? A, to the people who are facing the problem, who are living with it. B, to the survivors. C, to the people who are there as companions, maybe friends, family, whoever is there. What is that you would want to tell somebody? मैं आपको ज़रूर एक बात ज़रूर कहूँगी, खुदा के लिए नाश्ता किया करें. मैं तो नहीं करती, but yes, again, I try my best. There has been days कि मैंने सुबह नाश्ता किया जिसके अंदर मुझे अपना बड़ा अच्छा लगा है, वो चिड़चिड़ापन ख़त्म हो जाता है, बहुत सारी चीज़ें, you like.
I had quit sugar of all sorts for over 3.5 years before I was diagnosed. I was intermittent fasting was my lifestyle before
the diagnosis.
So I am very against all of these fancy fad diets and whatever.
रज के खाओ.
Sorry?
रज के खाओ.
हाँ, जो दिल कर रहा है कम से कम वो तो खाओ. हाँ, physically don't be handicapped because of your obesity and stuff. But yeah, number one, have faith. The biggest battle that you fight during this whole thing, or anything rather, is tawakkul. Is that faith, is that sheer faith that I'm going to come out of it.
आप भी बोल लें.
I think you guys are doing much of the talking. मैं पहले गई थी, मैं चली जाती हूँ. मुझे तो
We need you, man.
Yeah, we need you. You know that. But let me tell you something. Not because we're on camera, but अच्छे दोस्त जिंदगी में ना बहुत ज़रूरी होते हैं. और अल्लाह की करनी है कि she somehow entered my life, thanks to Hira, but yes, she somehow entered my life, And I think Amna is one of those, Amna T we call her, and Amna is one of those people जो कि आप उनको कहेंगे ना कि Amna this is it, you know, shit has hit the roof और छत फट के इधर उधर हो गई है, अब मेरे ऊपर सिर्फ चटियल आसमान है. She'd be like, hold on, I'll just be there. हाँ, जो है दफ्तर के टाइम्स में आमना बहुत कम फोन उठाती है, but yes, she ensures to call you back, no matter. मैंने अपनी जिंदगी के बड़ा अहम फैसला इनके साथ एक कॉफी टी बीन के नाश्ते में किया था.
मैंने कहा, sure, do you want to do this? And then she's like, हाँ. मैंने कहा, ठीक है, let's
bring it on.
It's just very important to step out of that judgmental zone, Maliha. Even when Amna first told me, or it's not like I was ashamed of myself in stepping out, but the fact that she was owning it, and also the fact that ये resilience जो आप दोनों ने जिंदगी में शो की है, वो बहुत कम लोग करते हैं. वो सिर्फ 1.5% या 2% होते हैं, बाकी तो सिर्फ सोसाइटी की ओपिनियंस और व्यूज़ में ही मारे जाते हैं. So to break free from all those barriers was something very important. Even days I know when she would call me, she would break, but I would still give her own space. So it's not like I was nagging her every day, but I really wanted her to sort of learn to stand up on her own. Had I been her emotion, I was throughout, but I did not want to be completely like her emotional crutch, because then she would not have stood up on her own. So there were days when I was still there, I was still holding her, but without her realizing कि hey, I'm physically उससे है ना. तो ये बहुत ज़रूरी ज़िंदगी में होता है, and I think ये empathy ये बहुत कम लोगों में होती है. To me, it has been a privilege to be there with you guys, and this is for life to come. Yeah, whenever.
खैर से इंशाल्लाह.
Yeah, whenever life.
जिंदगी भी तुझे लगे.
नहीं यार, मतलब क्या मुश्किलों से बचाए अब.
अभी देरी लग पड़ा. नहीं अल्लाह ताला आपको आपकी जिंदगी में आपके लिए आसानियां पैदा करे.
Maybe always keep shining bright. हाँ.
But you know,
फीस तुम दोनों ना पिछले 1 साल की दे देना.
account number check नहीं. I believe in online payment, like you know, cashless payment type situation में मैं यकीन रखती हूँ. But you know, Amna, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And
I'm so glad to
thank
be
you
here.
to you.
Always
आपने
a
आज
pleasure.
काफी खामोश spectator के तौर पे आपने चुटकुले छोड़े हैं बीच में, but I think वो चुटकुले जिंदगी के लिए बहुत जरूरी होते हैं.
अच्छा, एक और I think something that we need to also add is I was always, जब Amna, when she was going through her journey, there were 2 promises that I said, hey, we need to do this once towards the end of your treatment. Do you remember those promises?
You tell them.
बता दें.
या मेरे मुंह से कोई गलत बात नहीं
बोले.
I think it's safe to say the first one was that you have to help children, क्योंकि हम education से आते हैं. So it's
inspire them, help them, whatever way possible.
Yeah. So there's a wing at Shaukat Khanum जो कि she
might
needs
go,
to like she needs to go there, she needs to spend time with kids, क्योंकि I think जितनी journey adults के लिए मुश्किल होती है
उससे ज़्यादा
far more difficult for
बच्चों के लिए होती है. तो एक तो ये promise था, और दूसरा ये था कि I said कि hey, you need to get yourself a pet, and that's exactly what she has done.
Oh, so you have a pet?
I got one dog,
Mashallah.
and then me and my son just fell in love, that we got another one. So we have.
अभी इतनी खुशी मैं आपको दूसरा भी लिया है. आपको बहुत अच्छे लगे.
Pets have saved me, honestly, me and my son, from a lot of depression, from a lot of mental health issues. The purity of love that you get from a dog is, I don't know how to explain that. मतलब मुझे था कि वो फला काम होगा, ये होगा, you know, बस दूसरों के कुत्तों को मैं प्यार कर लूँगी. But oh my God, you wouldn't believe me. Every morning when I'm leaving for work, they're gonna bark. You know, okay, ab hame
Achha,
pakro.
you know, this is what I was telling her about. I have these 2 dogs. May God bless them. With
जो कि मैं secret लेके नहीं, मुझे दे दो.
So I literally say, I love you, Snow. I love you, Cookie, and they'd say, "Bow, bow, bow." They say that. You know?
And you know that you can feel कि you know हमसे ज़्यादा तो खैर माशाल्लाह से जानवरों में अल्लाह ताला ने empathy डाली है. But अपना coming back, you know, अदनान भाई is back and he's just looking at me like this कि भाई बंद करो शो को, बंद करो, recording बहुत हो गई. But then again सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी चीज़ कि ब्रेस्ट कैंसर या कोई भी बीमारी, स्पेशली अगर खुदा ना खास्ता आप एज एन औरत ब्रेस्ट कैंसर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कर लें या कोई और कैंसर, बिकॉज कैंसर कोई जेंडर देखकर नहीं आता, ठीक है. लेट मी टेल यू दिस वन थिंग,
जेंडर, एज और
कुछ नहीं देखकर आता, ठीक है. कोई भी बीमारी कोई चीज़ देखकर नहीं आती. और बड़े बूढ़े कहते हैं कि बीमारी आती घोड़े की रफ्तार में और जाती वो चूंटी की रफ्तार पर है, विच आई बिलीव इज़ वेरी ट्रू. सो अपने आप को सेल्फ प्रायोरिटाइज करें, अच्छा खाएं, अच्छा पिएं, टॉक्सिक रिलेशनशिप को गोली मार दें, यू नो, जस्ट डू व्हाटएवर, बिकॉज़ अगर आप नहीं,
कांटा लगा दें,
बिकॉज़ यू नो आई टेल यू समथिंग, अगर आप नहीं है ना तो आपके इर्द गिर्द आप किसी का ध्यान नहीं रख सकते. अगर आप अच्छे हैं तो आप अपने बच्चे को खाना खिला सकते हैं, आप अपने मियाँ को रोटी दे सकते हैं, आप अपनी माँ का ध्यान रख सकते हैं, बाप का ध्यान रख सकते हैं, या सोसाइटी के लिए आप बेनिफिशियल है. अगर आप खुद नहीं ठीक ना, मेंटली भी, फिजिकली भी, सोशली भी, मेडिकली भी, तो फिर देयर इज नथिंग मच यू कैन डू अबाउट इट. एंड देन सेकेंडली, stop using cancer as a taboo. Please stop stating it as a taboo. It's not a taboo. वो अल्लाह ताला का एक इम्तिहान कह सकते हैं आप, ज़रूर एक इंसान के ऊपर जो आता है. और बहुत सारे लोग जैसे माशाल्लाह हमारे सामने आमने हैं, वो सुरखरू हुई हैं उस इम्तिहान के अंदर. Stop spreading rumors about कि she is relapsed cancer. Be quiet. But then again, one more thing, अगर आपके अंदर नेगेटिविटी है ना, खुदा के लिए किसी ऐसे इंसान के पास जाएं जो आपका इलाज करे, पॉजिटिविटी अपने अंदर लेकर आए. और थेरेपी पे जाना ना कोई गुनाह नहीं है. आई बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट विद यू. जस्ट गो टू अ थेरेपिस्ट, वेंट आउट. पैसे लेते हैं वो लोग, लेकिन देन दे आल्सो डू योर इलाज. इट्स जस्ट लाइक गोइंग टू अ डॉक्टर, जस्ट दैट दिस डॉक्टर विल नॉट गिव यू मेडिसिन. अगर आपको कोई थेरेपिस्ट दवाइयाँ देता है ना, वो थेरेपिस्ट नहीं है. सो यू नो, जस्ट बट वेंट आउट. और अपने अंदर ये जो चीज़ें हमारी सोसाइटी की ना कि औरत है तो सब्र करना है, नहीं.
Guys, you can reach me at my number on so and so and so.
We need to have therapy cafes.
Yeah, therapy cafes.
That's
but and she is an art therapist, by the way.
Yes.
So if you think I'll introduce you to my cousin as well. She's also an art therapist. So if you think that you know you need some sort of therapy in life, please go, enjoy life. अपना ध्यान रखें, अपने इर्द गिर्द के लोगों का ध्यान रखें. And be nice, because दुनिया में पहली इतना
be kind.
Just
be nice.
smile to everybody.
To everybody. अब आज मैं गाड़ी से गुजरी थी तो एक साथ वाली गाड़ी से मुझे नजर आई, एक औरत बैठी, मैंने उसको स्माइल किया. इट वाज आफ्टर आई पास्ड, तो मैंने मुड़ के देखा तो शी वाज स्माइलिंग, शी वाज लाइक ओके, यू नो, इट्स ओके. सो बी नाइस, बी काइंड, एंड जस्ट बी. अल्लाह ताला की जो ज़िंदगी दी है ना, उसका शुक्र करें और उसमें लोगों के साथ अच्छाई करने का वो करें. बिकॉज एट द एंड वी आर गोना डाई, मैन. पहले 2020 में मरने लगे थे बिकॉज क़यामत आने वाली
2012 से शुरू हो गए
2012 से शुरू हो गए थे. हाँ 2012 से फिर अब तक यू नो चल ही रहे हैं, शुक्र अल्लाह का. बट बी जस्ट नाइस. एंड येस, अगेन टू रैप इट अप, breast cancer or any sort of cancer, any sort of ailment is not a taboo. It is not a taboo. सूरह रहमान पढ़े. मेरी वालदा बड़ी regularly सूरह रहमान पढ़ती हैं, because at some point in time we had a feeler that God forbid she's somewhat closer to it, something's happening in her body. Of course वो एक एज की हैं. सूरह रहमान पढ़े, सूरह रहमान सुने और अल्लाह ताला से दुआ करें. अल्लाह ताला कोई रिलीजन नहीं देखता, वो सिर्फ इंसान से प्यार करता है. और वो खुद कहता है कि मैं तुमसे 70 माओं से ज़्यादा प्यार करता हूँ, और वो वाकई में करता है. वो there is this Coke Studios song that I listened to, and it's called Hedriyam. I don't remember, Zuhaib something का है वो. और उसमें ना वो एक लाइन है कि कहते हैं फरिश्ते करता है किसकी निस्बत, तो कह दूंगा मैं उनसे कि मुझ पे अल्लाह ताला का, मेरा रब पे खास करम, समथिंग लाइक दैट. आई एम सो सॉरी Zuhaib एंड कंपनी के मैंने डिस्ट्रॉय कर दिया. बट इट्स वन ऑफ दोज थिंग्स दैट अल्लाह ताला अपने हर इंसान से बहुत प्यार करता है. जस्ट बी काइंड, बी नाइस. एम्पैथी अपने बच्चों में डालें, जानवरों से प्यार करें, इंसानों से प्यार करें. पहले तो इंसानों से प्यार कर लें, जानवर तो बेचारे बड़ी दूर की, हाँ, वो तो आपसे कर लेंगे प्यार. एंड प्लीज गेट योर सेल्फ टेस्टेड ASAP. You feel that there is something, just go to the doctor, just get a basic ultrasound, just get a basic mammogram done, and enjoy life. अपने इर्द गिर्द ध्यान रखें, सफाई करें. And with that, इससे पहले अदनान भी पॉज कर दें. Goodbye, see you soon.
Bye.